verses that we have for the lesson. I printed them out, so anybody who would like to read, I have some paper here for you. Just a second. One by one. Here we go. There you go. Oh, thank you so much. I can find all of the verses and read them myself, but it'll take too long. So, I appreciate everyone that has volunteered and would like to help me read. Okay, so once again, it is a privilege to be here and to be given this opportunity to speak with everyone again. I come here every other week. I go to Covington every other week. So I am a member of 2 congregations, and I feel blessed and enriched to be able to share with so many different people. I want to thank God for each of you here, and I thank you again for coming. All right, so looking around, you probably noticed that today we're talking about light. Our decor says light. Our previous speeches says light. So that's what we're talking about today. So, do I just push which button?
The one on the right.
That one. All right. So, interesting tidbit I came across when I was doing a little bit of research. Did you know that humans were bioluminescent? No? I didn't know. In fact, I thought it was quite interesting, because you hear a lot of, I want to say, woo-woo stuff out there, and you're not sure what is real from what is not real. But turns out we actually do emit some kind of glow. A Japanese university, I believe a group of Japanese scientists, they did a study in 2009 where they put a bunch of young, healthy people in a light, tight room, and they used specialized cameras and all that stuff to find out whether or not humans do emit some kind of light. Turns out we do. It's very weak. It's 1,000 times weaker than our eyes can detect. So we don't glow in the sense like fireflies or certain sea creatures, but we actually do emit some kind of glow. Well, we know from Suzanne's lesson that Jesus is our light, and we know that as Christians, or we should know that as Christians, Jesus is our light, and because we are Christians, followers of him, he imbued us with that light. And because he imbued us with that light, it is our responsibility to shine his light in this world while we are here waiting for him to come back, or during the time that we have here on earth. People don't last forever. So while we're here, we are to shine that light. Today, I'm going to shed some light on how we as Christians can shine our light in this world that we're living in. Now, just to cover the basics, when I talk about shining our light, I don't mean a candle, a flashlight, or some other sort of man-made light needed to brighten a space. I also do not refer to our natural bioluminescence, which is good because it's very dim. I'm talking about our bright inner light that distinguishes us from the rest of the world. So who has Matthew chapter 5, 14 and 15?
You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp or put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven.
Thank you so much. So Jesus explains that we are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. It's just common sense, right? And it's nice that we can read it there in the Bible as well, because then we know, it's not just something that is out of this world. Jesus always gave us these common sense examples so that we can understand it ourselves. So he goes on in that verse to show the fruitlessness of lighting a lamp and putting it under a bowl, obscuring it in some way. That's not the purpose of light. Light is to shine. So when we light a candle or anything in our house, the purpose of it is to shine and eliminate darkness as far as it can go. All right. So Ephesians chapter 5, 8.
For you were once darkness, but now you're the light in the Lord. Live as children of light.
That tells us that we were once in darkness, but now we are light in the Lord. We are commissioned to live as children of light. So this begs the question, how do we show our light in this world of darkness? I dare say that we show our light by our actions. In other words, our works allow our light to shine. James 2, 12 to 14.
Speak and act as those who are going to be judged by the law that gives freedom, because judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful. Mercy triumphs over judgment. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them?
Thank you so much. So James says it is useless when we claim we have faith, but no deeds to back up our faith. People can say anything. You probably heard the term gaslighting. It's people saying stuff and just doing the opposite. Same for us. We cannot say we have faith and our works show the opposite of the faith we claim to have, right? So if we have faith, we have to have the deeds to back up our faith. Faith is not enough. And in fact, if we say we have faith and our works does not show our faith, we're probably just lying anyway. Okay? So if our faith is not accompanied by actions, our faith is dead. It does not exist. Titus 3, 8.
This is a trustworthy saying, and I want you to stress these things, so that those who have trusted in God may be careful to devote themselves to doing what is good. These things are excellent and profitable for everyone.
Thank you, Suzanne. So in Titus, we see that as Christians, we're supposed to devote ourselves to doing what is good. There are many other Bible verses that stress the importance of backing up our faith with our deeds and doing good, not just to each other, but in the world in general. Who has Hebrews 10? 24?
And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds.
Thank you so much. Okay, so let's take a step back and evaluate what is going on here. We are Jesus' light in this world. We are to encourage each other to keep our light bright and shining. The way this is manifested is through love and good deeds. We are not just to do good deeds for each other, as stated in James 2, but we are also to do good deeds for others who need our help. Proverbs 3, 27, 28.
Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due when it is in your power to act. Do not say to your neighbor, come back tomorrow and I'll give it to you, when you already have it with you.
Thank you. So in Proverbs, we read that we should not withhold good from whom it is due. I suppose you can argue that some people don't deserve good, right? But isn't it God's job to judge? We know what we're supposed to do. Our part is not the judgment part. Our part is the doing good part. In Hebrews 13, 16, where is that?
And do not forget to do good and to share with others, for with such sacrifices God is pleased.
Thank you, Teresa. Hebrews 13:16, we are instructed to do good and to share with others because God appreciates such sacrifices. God knows it is not always a pleasure to share or even easy to share. Hence the use of the term sacrifices. God knows that we have to sacrifice sometimes just to do the right thing. Let me tell you a story. Some of you may recognize this picture. So last year, July 7th, I believe, first week in July, a Category 4 storm went through Union Island, which is St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That's where I was born. And my parents lived there. My youngest sister also lived there, still, okay? So this storm blew through at 157 miles an hour and destroyed almost everything on the island. In fact, according to the government reports, more than 90% of the homes and businesses were destroyed. It was a devastation that people hadn't seen in about 70 years. I remember as a kid, my great-grandmother would say she remembered a really bad storm that came through in 1955. And since then, they hadn't had anything close to that. Thunderstorms, maybe a tropical depression here or there, but this is the first major storm they've had since 1955. Now, my parents live on that island, as I said. They lost their home and the church building was severely damaged. My father has been the preacher at the Union Island Church of Christ since 1980. He still preaches there, believe it or not. He expended a great deal of energy constructing the building, along with the help of local laborers and other church members, some who've already died, you know? Anyway, this building, even as you can see on the left, was severely damaged, but that's where my parents ended up going when the storm was raging because their house fell down around them. They waited for the eye of the storm to make the trek from where they lived to that building so that they can stay in the basement, which was safe. So I mention this because it is our Christian brethren here, as well as the Covington Church of Christ, Bedford Church of Christ, and several other congregations around that were instrumental in having this building rebuilt. Now, if you look at the picture on the right-hand side, that is what it looks like now. A lot of work has been done in the last 6 months, and the building was able to be repaired because of the help. This help was facilitated through Healing Hands, and right now, this building is the only church that has been repaired and rebuilt, and the only one that is in use on the island currently. And it is because of this sacrifice that our brethren made. It shows not only that our brethren is shining their light to us, to each other, but we're showing the world this is how we shine our light, by helping each other. And the community around this is showing them how the church shines its light, because when we need help, we can depend on each other for that help. And when they see what the church can accomplish, they say, look at those people over there. We want to be a part of that. In a time when everyone is struggling, the church took time out not just to help itself, but also to help those that needed help. The church here got together, here at Dale Ridge, to purchase food and other necessities for the families of the church there in Union Island. This type of help is invaluable. And while the members there have many worries, where their next meal is coming from is not one of them. Thanks to the generosity of the Church of Christ and specifically the Dale Ridge Church of Christ, because that's who sent the food down. All right, so we don't need to wait for a disaster to let our light shine. That was a perfect example, but we can let our light shine every day. It doesn't have to take, something that extreme. We can let our light shine with every interaction in every day. This may be a struggle for some, more than others, because of our personalities, but personality does not exclude us from the duty of letting our light shine before men so that they may see our good works and glorify God who is in heaven. After all, God gave us our personalities. And though each of our personalities are unique, we can still use them to glorify God. Even those of us that are abrasive, we can still do that, right? So, other ways we can shine our light is through the way we carry ourselves. I suppose you can say it is still through our actions. As Christian women, we show our light through the way we dress, how we adorn ourselves, the things we say, and of course, the things we do. The key here is to dress modestly as stated in the Bible. Does that mean we cover ourselves from head to toe like the Islamic women do? No, not at all. It means that we dress differently than the people in the world. That's what it means. It is unfortunate that most of the fashion out there doesn't really cater to modest dressing, but there's a lot of designers out there that do produce and design modest clothing. So we have plenty of choices. Another way we shine our light is by the way we speak, the things that we say. I'm not talking about an accent or how we pronounce certain words. When you live up north, sometimes moving down south, you have trouble understanding what the people say. And vice versa, But I'm not talking about the way we say things, Sometimes you say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. But I'm not talking about that kind of thing. I'm talking about what comes out of our mouths. The things we say matter. If someone cannot determine from our speech if we are different from a non-Christian, then perhaps we should reevaluate how we express ourselves. Christians should not use profanity. Ephesians 4:29, I believe I have that one. I'll read it. It says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." I think that one's pretty clear, right? So, a lot of times when you hear, especially when you're hearing critiques about movies or any kind of media that's coming your way, you may hear, oh, we need this to be a little bit more edgy. We need this to, stand out a little bit more. Well, as Christians, we don't need to use profanity to be more edgy. We don't need profanity to show how passionate we are about something. Look, the English language is huge. Have you checked out a dictionary? There are a lot of words in there. And the profanity, it takes up like a page, right? Compared to the whole dictionary. So if we wanted to express ourselves, we have a whole dictionary full of words that we can use, right? Okay, so sometimes when I'm watching a modern movie, you listen like this because there's so much profanity that's stuffed into some of those movies. It's almost as though they had to really try to make it happen. It just doesn't even flow. They just stuff it in there. And that is, it's really hard to deal with some of these things because some of the content would be so much more enjoyable without it. Another way to let our light shine is to not engage in petty, vindictive behavior. It seems as though we are now in a society that glorifies revenge, insults, and generalized sticking it to each otherness. I know that's not a word, but you understand what I'm trying to say. So who has Romans 12:19?
Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath, for it is written, it is mine to avenge, I will repay, says the Lord.
Thank you. So in Romans, we are told that God will take vengeance, as is his promise to do. God is just and will see justice done on our behalf. It is hard when somebody wrongs you to just let it sit. I'm not pretending to be a saint. I know it is hard. Everybody knows it is hard. But as Christians, we also know that God will be our vengeance. And we let God take vengeance and be our justice as he has promised to do. This doesn't mean that we're gullible. We can tell when we're being taken advantage of, right? We don't have to have somebody tell us that somebody's taking advantage of us. Maybe sometimes, but sometimes it just doesn't feel right. But that doesn't make us gullible. It doesn't mean we cannot protect ourselves in a sensible way. That does not mean standing on the edge of your property with a rifle to shoot people. But it also doesn't mean that we allow people to just take advantage of us. We have ways that we can protect ourselves and be sensible without being our own vengeance. It simply means we are not to engage in petty squabbling with all the back and forth and getting back at each other that seems to be so popular these days. I could be misjudging the current state of affairs, but it has been my observation. And since I don't think that I'm so different than everybody else, I think that other people may have observed the same thing too. So, to recap, we are God's light in this world. Jesus imbued us with this light once we became Christians. We show our light in the world by our actions, the things we do. These actions include what we do and what we say. The way we carry ourselves should distinguish us from the rest of the world. The way we treat others should also show that we are not like the rest of the world. We should always help fellow Christians in need, as well as those who need it if it is in our power to do so. Our language should reflect our light. Miss Donna here, I know many of you know her. She has told this story many times, but I would like to repeat it here. When she used to work before she retired, she noticed that where she worked, a lot of times the people who she worked with would not have certain conversations while she was around. They would say, oh, she's a Christian, we can't say that in front of Miss Donna, right? Now, I believe that they were able to see Donna's light. And because of that, they had the respect for her because she was a Christian and it was known that she was a Christian, is a Christian. They saw her light, they respected her for it, and they refrained from certain behaviors in front of her. This doesn't mean that everybody would respect us in the same way or do the same thing, but the people who she worked with knew who she was. We cannot expect people who don't know us to always act that way. But what we do personally, we are responsible for. We're responsible for our own actions, not the actions of others. And as such, we should let our light shine regardless of the behavior of other people. So now, some food for thought. More questions to answer. I only have 2. So what are some specific ways we can let our light shine? And have you ever seen a person who you assumed must be a Christian? What was it about them that made you think so? Could you see their light?
Thank you.